The Adventures of Captain Marvel is a 12-chapter film serial from Republic Pictures that made its debut in 1941. Along with being a glowing example of the very best that the serial genre had to offer, The Adventures of Captain Marvel also had the honor of being the first film adaptation of a comic book superhero. The popular comic book character, who would come to be known as the world's mightiest mortal, was created by C.C. Beck and Bill Parker in 1939. Captain Marvel first appeared in Whiz Comics number 2, published then by Fawcett Comics. Captain Marvel tapped into the adolescent fantasy of a boy transforming into an adult hero overnight. It would go on to inspire later famous cartoon and comic book icons, such as Marvel Comics' version of the Mighty Thor and Filmation's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The film starred Tom Tyler as Captain Marvel, who would later go on to play the Phantom, and Frank Culligan Jr. as his alter ego, Billy Batson. Maybe the casting of Billy Batson isn't as young as you might expect, but the essentials of Captain Marvel's origin are the same. Radio broadcaster Billy Batson meets the wizard Shazam, who grants him the ability to change into Captain Marvel. By saying the wizard's name, Billy is transformed into Captain Marvel, protector of the weak and granted with wisdom from Solomon, strength from Hercules, stamina from Atlas, power from Zeus, courage from Achilles, and speed from Mercury. In the film, however, the setting is one of an archaeological expedition, and the wizard deems Captain Marvel the protector of the Golden Scorpion, which is a disguised optical weapon of incredible destruction.
My duty?
The Golden Scorpion weapon would reappear decades later in issue 24 of the Power of Shazam comic book series, which would now be published by DC Comics. Hey, check out Spy Smasher. He got a serial too in 1942, and a cameo on Justice League Unlimited to boot. So, Captain Marvel's nemesis in the picture is a guy called the Scorpion, who's kinda like a cross between Cobra Commander and Darth Sidious. While it's true he's no Black Adam or Mr. Mind, in the film's defense, it predates these famous arch-rivals of Captain Marvel.
You paid for your meddling!
Basically, the lenses of the Golden Scorpion are split up between several people for safekeeping, like pieces of the Weather Dominator or the Mask device. However, one of these guys is of course secretly the masked villain, the Scorpion. Sort of how it was painfully obvious that Senator Palpatine was the Phantom Menace. What some people call the Star Wars wipe, that's from movie serials like these too. Anyway, it's Captain Marvel's job to discover the Scorpion's true identity before he retrieves the remaining pieces and causes ultimate destruction. The flying effects in this film remain some of the best examples of superhero flight until Superman the movie in 1978. A combination of filming an oversized mannequin slid along a fine wire along with some acrobatic takeoffs and landings make for some pretty convincing flying sequences. It kinda reminds me of the best elements of the flight sequences from Ultraman and the George Reeves Superman TV series, put all together rather seamlessly. Even though this predates the Superman film serial by 8 years, all that serial could come up with is to use the Fleischer animation, which basically exemplifies what I dislike about most CGI animation today.
Holy moly!
The Captain Marvel I was first introduced to as a young lad was the Superpowers figure, who I later realized was the same guy from the Filmation animated series. Even my first real exposure to the character in the Giffen DeMatteis run in Justice League was that of a fairly light-hearted guy. I mean, Guy Gardner calls the guy Captain Whitebread, so while some purists may shake their heads, I always thought Cap going all Dark Knight Returns on these guys about 40 years too early was pretty badass.
Rubber bullets.
If you like superheroes or movie serials, I think you should check this one out.